Hello viewers, welcome to our lecture series on Indian ethos in management, and this lecture is under special segment for symbolic expression. We have with us Ms. Manisha ji for the symbolic expression. The topic of today's discussion is Indian management versus Western management. This is going to be part 2 of our lectures on the same topic, and here we'll be talking about Western Enlightenment and Eastern Awakening. In the previous lecture of mine, I told you about the basics of Western Enlightenment, what it is, and how it is different from Eastern Awakening, how they are different. And we also tried to make a discussion on the topic that these two concepts are not competitive in nature, rather they are complementary to each other, the way they are contributing to the management, to the area of management, or what you call as corporate management. So today we'll be extending our discussion on the same topic, and I'll be telling you about the focus of exploration, the model of humans, objective, and eventually the social impact, and also the implications of it. So just to give you a recap that when we were talking about Western Enlightenment project and Eastern Awakening movement, we had a discussion on the different points where they differ from each other. For instance, as far as focus of exploration is concerned, when we go for exploring the ideas, in Western Enlightenment project, it is the matter which is the point of focus. Whereas in Eastern Awakening movement, consciousness is the point of focus. So focus here is on consciousness, that whether we are able to have that consciousness within our thoughts or not. If we talk about the model of humans in Western project, we were talking about Homo faber concept, or what you call as self-actualization. Whereas in Eastern Awakening movement, we talk about Homo sober, which is called as self-actualization plus self-realization, and also it talks about yin-yang model. If we look at the view of life in Western project, it was violence oriented. It was very much oriented towards violence. People are supposed to be aggressive. They actually talk about cutthroat competition which doesn't look at the other side, who is there in front of you when you are being competitive. So you are goal oriented. You only talk about your goals in Western Enlightenment project. You don't look at what happens to others. Whereas in Eastern Awakening, the beauty of this movement is that we are harmony oriented, and we talk about the progress which is holistic in nature. We talk about the progress which is not creating any harm to any human being, to anybody. So we don't believe into competition, rather we believe into cooperation. We don't feel that we should be competitive, we should go for talking about cutthroat competition. Here we talk about harmonization, we talk about harmony oriented projects, or the project which is ensuring the holistic progress. And if we look at the objective, here in Western Enlightenment project, the objective is material progress. You evaluate your progress with the material success, that what happened to your profit, what happened to your balance sheet. Whereas in Eastern Awakening movement, the beauty is that we talk about sacro-civic society. We talk about a kingdom which looks at the wisdom only, where we are honoring wisdom, where we are applying our wisdom, where we don't look at short-term goals, where we don't feel happy with short-term achievements. We look at long-run goals, where we are going to establish a society which is sustainable, which is more sustainable, where everybody feels happy. And eventually, if we talk about the social impact in Western Enlightenment project, there we were talking about cognitive arrogance, domination, or what you call as dehumanization, that you are being so mechanical, so technical, that you look at your profit orientation only. Whereas in Eastern Awakening movement, we talk about cognitive liberation, where your mind is liberated from all what you call as the hurdles, or you talk about coexistence, you talk about rehumanization, that you are feeling cooperative, you are actually having a feel where you talk about not only your existence but also the existence of others. You feel that satisfied when you say that Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, where everyone feels happy, everyone is feeling liberated. So we talk about cognitive liberation. So my dear learners, in this way we try to draw a line of difference between the two ideas. One is the Western Enlightenment project and another is Eastern Awakening movement. So again, I would like to reiterate that they are not at all competitive in nature. They are complementary to each other. Both are important. At times you feel that you need to be aggressive in achievement of your goals. You need to put all your efforts. You need to concentrate on only the achievement of your goals. But harmony orientation is equally important, or the progress which is sustainable is also important for long run. So we need to understand the significance of both the aspects, and I personally feel that both have their own significance, their own importance. But we cannot deny to the relevance of Eastern Awakening movement, which is going to make us feel awakened. We should not run into a race which is called as rat race, where we are simply achieving our short-term goals and we forget the long-term orientation or long-term goals. Or somehow we are creating a society which is not at all sustainable. So if we really wish to sustainable, Eastern Awakening is the only solution for ensuring a society which is sustainable. And I told you about the wisdom equation, where the relevance of intuition was also defined, and this equation is represented like this, that W is equal to R plus I, where R stands for reason and I stands for intuition. And here we talked about the objectivity and subjectivity. Both have their own roles to play. Objectivity we don't deny, we have to maintain the objectivity, but at times being subjective also gives us enough satisfaction or gives us fruitful results also. We gain some results with our intuitive abilities also. We cannot deny to the rational and intuitive faculties and their role. And this equation has several interesting interpretations. It represents the complementarity principle of physics, which is also represented in Chinese yin-yang model. And Indian Ardhanarishwar concept, as I told you in the previous lecture also, the Ardhanarishwar concept of dialectical synthesis is also representing the very important role of rational as well as intuitive faculties. It is an omnijective view of reality as fusion of objective and subjectivity both. So we need to maintain a fusion of both. We should not deny to the relevance and role of subjectivity. It is just like evaluating our students on both the parameters. We have multiple choice type questions, which is known as MCQs, where we are evaluating our students, our learners, on the basis of the objective answers. So they are maintaining objectivity. But at times we need to evaluate them on the parameters of their writing skill, the way they express. It is just like that. So subjectivity cannot be denied. We cannot live or lead our life with only objectivity, by being only objective. So we need to also understand the significance of subjectivity. So at a practical level, my dear learners, the wisdom equation is also giving a reflection of the two sides of brain. One is the left brain and right brain, we all know, which is indicative of both, that is rational as well as intuitive faculties. So we call them left hemisphere and right hemisphere. So both the brains have their own roles to play. We cannot say that I can only run my life with the left brain only, with the use of left side of my brain only, or vice versa. So we need to understand that both the faculties are equally important. The rational as well as intuitive, both are important, and the same is the case of the Eastern and Western ideas and thoughts. So this equation is basically giving us a suggestion that there is a need for the paradigm shift from age of reason to age of wisdom. We should not only be logical, but we should also apply our wisdom. And this is only because during the age of reason there was only a partial understanding of the reality which is surrounding the human beings. So we are only having the partial understanding of our surroundings, our what you call as ecology, the environment in which we are interacting. And this, the dawn of age of wisdom, it could correct this partial approach to understanding of reality. We can only understand the entire area of our working we can only understand all the broad contours of our operation when we have the understanding of both the faculties, rational as well as intuitive. And this actually implies a mental shift from Enlightenment Project's kingdom of reason to a new awakening of an establishment of the kingdom of wisdom. So from the kingdom of reason to kingdom of wisdom, we are only making a shift, or you can say we are basically traveling in both the areas. Kingdom of wisdom is equally important as the kingdom of reason is. We cannot deny to the relevance and importance of logical aptitude, the logics, because without logic we cannot survive. We need to have the understanding of the significance of the law, the logic, the scientific logics, the cause and effect relationship. But meanwhile, we should not deny to the relevance of kingdom of wisdom. So here we are talking about cognitive liberation from methodology of reason. We don't say that you need to leave that methodology of reason. We are only talking about cognitive liberation from methodology of reason. And this awakening basically implies cognitive liberation from methodology of reason to relook, or what you call as a re-see methodology, where we have to simply make a relook, re-see at what we are actually going through. Suppose I'm reading a piece of idea. Suppose any idea is drafted in a para, and I read it. So I may draw some interpretation. I may establish some understanding out of that. But at times when we read it twice, thrice, our understanding gets better. Or sometimes we only reach to the right interpretation when we read it twice or thrice. And here is the role of this re-see methodology. And that is basically called as awakening. So in this awakening, the scientific temper is basically tampered with spiritual curiosity and spiritual intensity. That is something which is more important. We are talking about spiritual intensity and spiritual curiosity, where we are eager to know the difference between the Gyan and Vigyan, what you call as knowledge and science. And this awakening implies the difference between Vigyan and Gyan should be understood. We need to understand that what is the difference between the science and the knowledge, the wisdom. And in pursuing this religiosity of science, the religiosity of conscience should not be discounted. We should give due honor to science, but we should not discount the relevance of conscience, which is actually coming from the intuitive abilities of ours. And this is an important lesson from the Eastern awakening. So I would say, my dear learners, that Western enlightenment and Eastern awakening, they should go hand in hand for the material as well as spiritual progress of humanity. Because both the sides of progress are equally important. If we really want the humanity to be progressive, or we want them to be successful, the material as well as spiritual progress, both are supposed to be ensured. We cannot only live our life with material success or spiritual progress only. We need both of them in order to ensure the holistic development. So here, if we follow this path, we are going to create a new future, a future which is basically called as, in the language of marketing, I can say it is going to be a brand new future. And now the time has come to re-look, to re-see the past and present with a view to create a new future. And it implies achieving a proper balance between the tradition and modernity. We should not leave our roots. We should stick to the roots and then progress with the way of modernity, what we call as the modern ideas. And it can only be achieved through a synthesis of Western enlightenment and Eastern awakening. Now, what our researchers indicate about this Eastern and Western ideas? What researchers indicate? When I was going through the relevant literature available on the topic, I could find that interaction between East and West is not very new. There has been discussion and deliberation for very long. Although in future we envisage that this interaction would lead to synthesis between the both, that is the Western enlightenment and Eastern awakening. Now the time has come to look for having a synthesis between the two ideas. And I was going through a research by the Guy Sorman in his book, The Genius of India. The title of the book is Genius of India, and it has identified at least 3 intense historical interactions between the East and West. This book is very interesting, where it talks about the genius of India. And these 3 intense historical interactions between the East and West are very interesting here. And in that book, the author states that India has never ceased to haunt the imagination of the West. And on 3 occasions, she left an indelible imprint on Western shores. Christianity borrowed from her, and here we are indicating India, Christianity borrowed from her the idea of compassion and the belief in immortality of the soul. This is what the author has written in that book, that the entire Christianity, it has borrowed from India the idea of compassion and the belief in immortality of the soul. We believe that soul is immortal. It is only the body which is mortal. The soul is immortal, and we believe, we have a belief, or we understand that the soul is immortal. And in Bhagavad Gita it is written that Nanam Chindanti Sasrani Nanam Dahati Pavaka. So the soul is immortal, and it is basically called as a surprise from the East. The Enlightenment philosophers discovered the practice of toleration, the second important thing which the author has highlighted. The practice of toleration. Mahatma Gandhi demonstrated in the 20th century the strength of non-violence. That strength of non-violence is now known to the entire world, to the entire humanity. And that is basically something which we have actually witnessed. Our humanity has witnessed that Mahatma Gandhi demonstrated the kind of strength of non-violence. So the practice of toleration is the second important surprise from the East. And in the 60s, the West borrowed the notions of ecology and feminism from India. They have actually borrowed the third important aspect here, that the notion of ecology and feminism from India. And these influences from the East may come as a surprise to many Westerns. Many people who are basically, they call them to be the propagators of Western ideas. And it is a surprise from the East to them. What is the change here? The change is that now the what you call as decolonization of Eastern mind is no more a statement, but the reality. Now we are finding that the Eastern minds are decolonized. It is no more colonized. And result by what is happening, the new awakening has dawned, which finds its manifestation in varying forms, in varied forms. And it is very much likely that this would once again influence the West and will leave a new indelible imprint on the human thought. So we have to understand that to a larger extent, to a great extent, it is already happening in the West through the Indian diaspora effect and what they call them as their knowledge workers. So the entire West is getting knowledge workers from our side. So Indian diaspora impact is now something which is having an established name in the Western, in the domain of Western thinkers. So they do understand the many of the ideas. I have only cited 3 of them, which was cited in one of the books called The Genius of India. So my dear learners, here with this discourse, what I try to put before you is the difference between the 2 ideas and where we can contrast them. We are comparing them to understand the significance of both of them. Both are important. So if we really want to be successful, we have to be logical. But whether we are going to be to ensure that this success is sustainable or not, for that the Eastern awakening way or route is the only way. Because we cannot, suppose if you are earning 10 lakh rupees in a month or in a year, and after that there is no earning, what will happen to you? Whatever you have earned, the saved money, whatever savings you have, that are going to last after 1 year or so. So you need to have a continuous flow of earnings in order to ensure that your success is sustainable, in order to ensure that your business is sustainable. And if you are sustainable, your business is sustainable, the entire nation is going to be sustainable. We are going to sustain as a nation. So sustainability is more important, or I would say that consistent and constant performance or success is very important for us to ensure that we are really on a path of progress. That is something which is very important. Now coming to the implications for management, administration and society, because at times my learners say that, sir, these ideas seems to be very bookish, or how do we apply them in management, in day-to-day operations? How do we apply them? How they are applicable for society at large? How they are applicable for administration when we are going for business administration or administration in general? How they are going to be applicable? That I am going to put in front of you now. So here in our entire discussion, some areas of interest as illustrations of the conceptual framework of Eastern Awakening I am going to put before you. The first one, which is very significant, is that from conflict resolution to conflict dissolution. In Western management concept, we were talking about resolving the conflict, and here in Eastern Awakening thought or movement, we talk about conflict dissolution. We want that conflict should not arise. We are not resolving here. We are ensuring that they should be dissolved. Ab initio, they should be vanished. There should not be any conflict at all. So once there is no conflict, what is the point of resolving it? So this is another change which we are going to discuss as far as implications for management, administration and society is concerned. The second very interesting aspect is, in Western philosophy we talk about economic value addition. EVA is a concept which is used in economics and finance, where we talk about the economic value addition by a business. How much value you have added, how much economic value your business has added through its operations. That is something which is more important. But in Eastern Awakening idea, we talk about ethical values addition. The acronym remains the same. We talk about ethical values addition. I'll be discussing with you in the next lecture of mine how it differs from economic value added to ethical value addition. We'll also talk about towards a model of holistic development. In Eastern Awakening idea, we talk about we talk about making a move towards a model of holistic development, a development which is holistic in nature. We are going to talk about corporate rishi leadership, where we talk about moving towards a new age of managers who are behaving like a saint, who are behaving like a rishi. We'll talk about the environmental concerns through eco-balancing, and eventually just to give you an idea of shift from Western to Eastern, we would talk about from Harvard to Haridwar and beyond. That we started our journey from Harvard, we have borrowed several business ideas from Harvard, but we have to eventually look at the Haridwar also, and beyond that in terms of spirituality and all. So my dear learners, in this way we had a discussion on the different aspects of Western and Eastern ideas, and we also talked about the implications for management, administration and society. I hope you must have enjoyed today's lecture of mine. Thank you so much.